That breaking news, shots fired feet away from President Trump at the White House Correspondents' dinner. No one here was injured.
And now we're learning the suspected gunman is from Southern California. Let's get right to Brittany Ehrman live in our newsroom right now with the details on what happened and what we're learning so far about the alleged shooter. Brittany?
Gio and Leslie, CBS News confirming tonight the alleged shooter is 31-year-old Cole Allen from Torrance. Today, he was charged with using a firearm and assaulting an officer with a deadly weapon. Allen is in custody tonight, and officials say he was apprehended carrying a shotgun, a handgun, and several knives. This video right on there on your screen shows the moments the gunfire happened as President Trump was seated at the very front of that ballroom. And just feet away from the president at that moment, this video shared by the president shows the shooter storming the security checkpoint. Then Secret Service officers quickly responded. One officer took a gunshot to the bulletproof vest, but is expected to be okay. And again, here's what it sounded like in the ballroom the moment the shooting happened. Take a listen. President Trump, members of the cabinet, and the First Lady were all quickly rushed out of the ballroom by Secret Service. And this is the first White House Correspondents' dinner that President Trump has attended.
There was recently an assassination attempt on President Trump's life inside the Hilton in Washington. In fact, they were just planning to have a formal dinner at the end of April to discuss whatever they wanted to discuss. In fact, there was a committee sitting at the table. President Trump, J.D. Vance, the vice president, and a few other cabinet members, when immediately shots fired from a different room. Glass clashed, and on video you can see that everybody at the table was shocked. Some had a delayed response, but they looked around, got up, and the Secret Service rushed in. These guys in armor who had their weaponry and all these things. They told Trump to get down. They rushed J.D. Vance out. Another lady put herself under the table to take cover. What the heck is happening in America? This is the third assassination attempt on President Donald Trump's life. I want you to leave a comment down below. Let me know if you think this is eerie in any way.
Man, this stuff is happening fast. We feel like all these distractions that is happening on the news, you know, you still have to think about what's been happening on President Donald Trump's life, because it's still valid. You know, people still do not like him in a way, disagrees with him, and gets to that point where they want to, you know, pretty much unalive him. So things like this we do forget about, and it did happen in the past. So this is something crazy. You know, I know there's a lot of videos out there where the people that was actually in the room with him, you know, they were giving their experience and stuff. So it's a lot. This is like breaking news right now. It's a lot of videos out. So you got to still pay attention to what they're saying, but still pay attention to what they're not saying. Because this is something a little bit different than what we usually see, especially what we've been hearing about the war and stuff. And then now this.
Yes, because listen to what CNN says. They say President Donald Trump was swiftly escorted off the stage by Secret Service after possible shots were fired at the White House Correspondents' dinner in Washington, D.C. on Saturday. A source told CNN that Trump is safe, while two sources said that J.D. Vance is safely out of the dinner as well. According to an administration official, cabinet members are doing okay as well. Several U.S. Secret Service agents yelled, "Shots fired," during the event, which was being held at the Washington Hilton, according to pool reports. Secret Service later said in a post on X that one person is in custody. That is all we know so far. We don't know his name, who he is, his background, any of that. Now, people on social media are coming in. They're saying, I think this is staged. This is staged. They're playing with us. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Now, Trump took to Truth Social and said the shooter has been apprehended, and applauded the Secret Service and law enforcement officers for acting quickly and bravely to save not only his life, but to keep everybody else that was in that area at the Hilton safe as well. And then, in a subsequent post just a few minutes later, President Donald Trump said he is returning to the White House after law enforcement officials requested that he leaves the location. Trump added that he will give a press conference momentarily, and he has already done that. Now, CNN's Wolf Blazer or blitzer was a few feet away from the gunman as he was pew-pewing, he said on air. All of a sudden, the guy had a weapon, and it was a very, very serious weapon. It starts pew-pewing, and I happen to have been just a few feet away from the craziness. This is what he said. So the story will be updated later with additional details, but this here is breaking news, and we want to know your thoughts. What does this mean for the stability of America? What does this mean for some of the Europeans and some of the Indians, Chinese, Russians, everybody that's looking at America right now as an unstable place because of the war? But now this. A third assassination attempt on President Donald Trump's life. And this person was able to get into the area where President Donald Trump and the cabinet were at.
Yeah, I'll say, man, it's unstable, like you said, like you mentioned. America, these things do happen. You know, I know it does happen in other countries, but we know America. So this is something that's very important that I want you guys to listen to. Do you truly trust America in a way of what they say, of what they do, and how they're approaching everything, to be honest? Like, that's a question that you really have to ask yourself. Like, everything, just the history of America, everything that they try to cover up and stuff, everything that they have done, you really got to start thinking like this, because, you know, you're just going to be caught up in the American mess. Like, really, I know the country Iran, right? They were saying, like, we love Americans. You have to think for yourself and realize how America runs. Who really runs America? Who's at the top and really controlling a lot of things? So this could be another control tactic, to be honest. You know, you put distractions in people's face, but behind the scenes, they're probably doing something totally different that you don't even think about and know about until what, 2-3 days later. So,
or 2-3 years later.
Yeah.
But what would be the end game if this is a tactic? What is this distracting the American people from? That's the real question. I think that's it for this video. We'll see you in the next one. Shalom, shalom. But if this is a tactic, then what are they distracting us from?
Exactly. Shalom, family.